This is TWiT.
Finally, I forgot to mention the big rumor of the week. Apple's HomePod with a little robotic arm to steer it.
Hi, I'm Jibo, only not quite so friendly.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Jibo. Yeah,
maybe you look like the G4 iMac a little bit. Yeah, it's like an iPad-sized screen on an arm with a HomePod base that apparently Mark Gurman says is being, put, if not put into production, put into active design that they're going to do this thing. And he keeps calling it a robot, which is very silly.
Yeah.
But
because Amazon makes an Alexa that does exactly this. It turns to face you.
Yeah.
It follows you around if you're on a call.
Yeah.
But they do it without an arm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that they want to pivot, or maybe they don't rotate the base, but they rotate the arm. I don't know. What troubles me about this report is that Mark Gurman is saying that they think that it might cost $1,000, and I have that HomePod or Vision Pro vibe, which is, guys, I know you can make the most ultra premium version of this product and put it in the kitchen. What if you made? It's okay, it's okay to just. I had an Echo Show. I have a Google Nest Home. Let me tell you. The opportunity for Apple to ship something that's basically like those, but vastly better is there. It is not a high bar to clear, and it would be a shame if instead of making a product that's like those but better and uses Apple's ecosystem, which they've got all the pieces already, that they would instead be, but what if we built a robot arm and it was $1,000 and it blew everybody's minds? It's like, well, that's great, but who's going to buy that versus a 500 or 700 or whatever the price is? Maybe lower your expectations a little. That, because like I said, I think as an aficionado of these kind of products, I think the bar is real low. I think Amazon is full of junk because they're trying to sell you stuff, and the Google stuff, Google's really inattentive, and those products are really slow and they don't get updated very often. Apple could slide on in there, and I hope they don't blow it by aspiring to build a ridiculous product.
That's Bang & Olufsen style stuff where, they're beautiful static objects. You go into the store and you admire it, but it's just a normal thing with this design quirk in it that makes it look cool and makes it cost 4 times as much. I'm glad I stopped in the mall to take a look at it, but there's no reason to buy it. It's just a fribble. It could be the only way. I was thinking about this, about how this could be an interesting thing to do. To make a screen that's motorized and so it can swivel and pivot and aim itself. Obviously, that's for all the demo videos will be. Oh no! Look! Hey, look! My granddaughter is walking around the room during our FaceTime call, but I can still see her because it's tracking her.
The Facebook already did this, Andy. That's the Facebook portal, and it was for Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah. But I'm saying that's the obvious video. But the other thing to do is to say, well, how about we do? Apple has an amazingly high respected reputation for privacy and security. What if there were a home security product that was operated by the one brand that you might trust it to have unlimited camera access to a room of your house? Not only that, but unlimited power to process that with AI and remember what it's seen. So I'm not talking about, hey, there's somebody in your house and they seem to be a burglar. Woo. I'm talking about the ability to ask, hey, Shlomo, did my dog eat today? Say, yes, your dog ate. What time? They ate a full bowl at 3:12 p.m. and then again at 4:12, and it knows that only because it knows that there's a dog in a room. It was tracking it when it went in. It knows what a dog dish looks like. It knows what a dog eating out of that dish looks like. So even though you didn't have to set up a shortcut to do so, you can ask it relevant questions like, is it cloudy at home?
We had an
because it has access to the
that
windows,
made a device like this, and it went out of business. It didn't sell. I have the device, kind of a orphaned device in my collection. I don't know if it's the privacy angle or just the creepy angle. I don't know if it were suddenly
I think it's the privacy angle. I mean, I think that's what really hammered
really?
I think it really hammered the portal. The portal had a lot of advantages. I
didn't want a Meta device. I agree.
Oh, 100%.
Right, but it was a really...
even if it's Apple, I have... Ubiquiti has cameras, and they don't ever leave the house. The internet, they're never stored anywhere except on my own server. But even then, I think people don't like the idea of cameras in the house, I think.
But I think I'm pretty sensitive. Like I have to admit, I don't have the Amazon or Google stuff in my house, but I do have the HomePod, the original one in my kitchen, and it's used all day, every day. But I don't feel comfortable with other devices in my
Would you have
house.
a device that had a camera on it in your house?
In the kitchen, I think I could do it.
Kitchen?
I mean, in the kitchen, yeah,
You would.
Yeah, and I think I do it because if I got one for my wife and my mom or my mother-in-law, her mother, they would probably use it 2 or 3 hours a day. I mean, they talk a lot, and so the problem for me is that I don't really want to think about for me, I wouldn't use it as much because when I'm in the kitchen, I kind of don't want people to be watching me cut vegetables or while I'm talking on the phone. And, like, it's not like, I don't know if I really want that, but I do think the swivel makes a difference. I think one of the problems with the Portal or with any of these, the idea that you could do a 4K and then do a 720 punch in and move around. The problem was there's just a lot of places you get off axis and you can't get there, and so being able to move around and look at what people are doing in a larger room makes a big difference. And I think for telepresence, it could make a difference where, you could do things like put it in a conference room. It's not just kitchens, but it's put in a conference room and it looks at the person who's, doing it. And there are cameras out there that do that right now, but it might be nice to just be able to pop your iPad up and do it as well for something that's smaller. So I think I do think that $1,000 is pretty rich. I don't think even I would probably buy it. But at, $500 or $600, I think it starts to get into a range where you get a larger market.
Yeah, that's why I find it interesting. If I definitely not trust Facebook, might trust Google only in the sense that, again, it's not that I necessarily think they're a hell of a lot more trustworthy than any other company that collects data of its scale. It's just that I'm already kind of all in on Google, so. In for penny, in for a pound.
I think they already know everything about you, Andy.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
might as well give them video.
Yeah. But that's why I find it interesting to think of. Well, what if Apple's the one company I think could make that case that look, we're not going to start off by we're going to start off by showing you the big reveal. It's in shadow and then it's in spotlight and then it's rotating. But before we get into features, we're going to explain to you exactly how impossible it is for anybody, including Apple, to be spying on you or to be collecting information about you, that the AI that is trained, the things that the AI learns is kept on device, it's in a secure enclave, it cannot be accessed by anybody else. If that would be kind of interesting, but I think you're right, like not for $1,000, for like $500 or $600 maybe.
Stephen Riddell, watching us on X.com, says, I feel like Apple is just a lifestyle brand. People like to promulgate this notion that Apple's pro-consumer with their focus on privacy, but Louis Rossmann has been pointing out for 10 years they don't care about you. Louis Rossmann, of course, is the right to repair guy. Oppose any attempt to improve rights and value to customers. Your privacy matters only as far as it's part of their marketing design language and would be dropped as soon as it's financially advantageous to do so. This is the contrarian point.
Well,
I can just quickly agree with what you're saying there, because they're not. Their principle is to. They have
the principle is to make money.
Their principle is that they have a business plan, and every single moral choice they make is applied against. Does this mess with our business plan, or does this not? It doesn't. Great. We'll put on the halo. We'll be the champions for this.
Is one of the things that's really changed is AI, and it is a rapacious maw of data that is swallowing everything it possibly can. And if Apple's going to do AI, which it obviously wants to, your data is absolutely going to be grist for the mill.
You actually don't know. We don't actually know that.
No, and that's not
I think
at all
Apple's
what their
whole
strategy is.
Their whole point is that your information is not like they can't even see it.
You're very trusting. That's all I could say.
I'd say there's nuance there that commenter is not sharing. Apple is not a charity. Apple is a publicly held company that's trying to make as much profit as possible, and that's true. But when you say, but they don't actually have any standards or priorities, I think that's also BS. And it's a typical argument that I've always heard about Apple. And the fact is, yes, Apple does things that are self-serving. However, Apple leans into things that its business model allows it to lead into that also differentiate it from some of its competitors. And at this point, the respecting people's data, because they didn't build their business on advertising and sharing data like Google did, did they do that because it was the right thing to do? Well, no, they did it because they were a hardware company that also bundled software. But here we are, right? And so it is a trait of Apple. Apple's not a person. So, like, does it believe it or not? Is it a profit-seeking company? It absolutely is. But I think it is a trait and a strategy of Apple to go in this direction. And, you can say, yeah, but look at Right to Repair. It's like, yes, it is a big, complicated, profit-making company. And there are places where it emphasizes, and there are places where it doesn't. It also tries to take 30% from Patreon creators. I mean, it's complicated, is what I'm saying. It's complicated.
And I don't think that I really don't think Right to Repair is really connected to profit as much as it is Apple wants to innovate and doesn't want to have to deal with backwards compatibility or deal with anything we don't want to build things that we have to take apart. Like I think Apple doesn't, it's not a matter of like, oh, we're making a bunch of money on these parts. Like, that's not the deal. Like, I think that Apple just doesn't want to deal with that. They don't want that part of one of the variables that they're figuring out. They just want to make the best phone they can make. I mean, when you talk to folks at Apple a lot of times, you just get this thing. They just want to make what they want to make, and they want to make it as good as they can possibly make it, and they don't want to be encumbered. But I think that as far as the privacy thing, sure, maybe they drop it if it wasn't profitable, but it's always going to be profitable because no one else can do it. Like, no one else can do what Apple's doing because they're vertically integrated, and as long as so privacy is going to be profitable for Apple and is going to be a differentiator for as long as the company probably exists, and so because that vertical integration is extremely difficult to reproduce with a heterogeneous mix of companies and technologies, and so I'm not saying that they're a good company or bad company, or that what's good or bad. It is a profitable thing to do, but I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And I think they're going to keep doubling down on it because it's the thing that makes them different, or one of the things that makes them very different from everybody else.
Hey, it's Leo Laporte. If you enjoyed this little snippet of our programming, make sure you check out the full MacBreak Weekly. The link is right down there.